Okay, so we did last time, verse 5 we were doing. So can somebody just tell me just a little recap from last time? What are the symptoms of Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttama in terms of faith? Hmm?
Kanishta have Komal Shraddha.
Kanishta's faith is Komal. Madhyama?
They have good faith.
Hmm.
Their faith level is increased.
Yes. They have more faith, of course, than Kanishta, naturally. And then Uttama has utmost faith. But what about the knowledge of the scriptures?
Yeah, they start taking knowledge of scriptures in the Madhyam stage. I mean, Madhyam as a Madhyam devotee.
So they have firm faith in scriptures and um,
So
yeah,
Madhyam, what does Madhyam has? Madhyam has
firm
what?
faith,
Firm faith. I mean, stronger faith than Kanishta, and knowledge of scriptures.
power of discrimination.
So
Yes.
Madhyam has knowledge, but he may not be able to convince
Yeah.
others.
Yes. Yeah. Logically, they don't put like some logics to convince, but they have a knowledge of scriptures.
They have knowledge, but they may not be able to always, convince others. And if there is some opposing argument, then they may not be able to counteract that.
The
Uh,
reasoning and
yeah.
logics.
So Kanishta has also knowledge, but his knowledge, he has faith, he has some knowledge, but not very pakka. So he can get deviated very easily. Madhyam, although he may not be able to pose counter or arguments to some argument, but he's fixed in his bhakti. He will not leave his bhakti. And in terms of behavior with devotees,
So take the distinction between the devotees if you're asking of Madhyama.
hmm,
So there are distinction of the devotees. They make friends with the equal, and those who are advanced, they respect and serve, and those who are envious, they reject,
hmm.
staying away from them.
Yeah, so Madhyam has four different dealings with four different entities, we could say. With Lord, he has
Prem.
prem.
Mm.
With devotees, he has friendship. And with the innocent, he has mercy,
Compassion.
compassion. And then with the
Yes.
inimical, he avoids. So these are the four different, we can say like that. So that is how Kanishta, Madhyama, and so Kanishta, he has great faith in the deity of the Lord. There's a verse that Prabhupada quoted. He has great faith in the deity. Archayam eva haraye pujam ya shraddha ihate. Na tad bhakteshu chaneshu. But he does not have faith in the devotees so much. Or he sees the Lord only in the temple, not in other living entities also. The Lord is there everywhere outside the temple also. So he is very attached to in that way. Okay. So what are the three different we discussed about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Who met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu three different times, 3 different years?
Satyaraj Khan and residents of Kulinagram.
And what did Lord Chaitanya, what did they ask first, Lord Chaitanya?
So they asked two questions. So first question they asked that being a householder, how can we progress in the devotional path, spiritual life? And the second question is, who is
Oh,
Vaishnav?
then what was the answer to the first question?
I forgot. He was saying that something.
So they asked,
Whoever takes the Krishna's one time one name, then they are the Vaishnavas.
That is Vaishnava. But first question.
first question was they asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that we are householders, we are in material life. How can we make spiritual advancement? Then Lord Chaitanya said, always chant the holy name of Krishna and serve the Vaishnavas. Then they asked, oh, but who is a Vaishnava? How do we recognize who is a Vaishnava? So first year they asked, and what did they say?
So he said that if even once chant the name of Krishna is a Vaishnava.
Hmm.
And
So like in this verse also, in verse number 5, they say, even if somebody chants Krishna's name, somebody is chanting Krishna's name, he should be respected in the mind. Manasa driyeta. So that is like, okay, anybody who chants even Krishna's name once is a Vaishnava. So we say Krishna, now we are Vaishnava. So anybody who has chanted like that should be respected. And then second time, again they asked the same question. Second year, every year they used to come for Rath Yatra. So the second year, they asked again the same question. Then what did Lord Chaitanya say?
The one who is always chanting.
Yes, the one who always chants Hare Krishna. We could say always. Sometimes Nityam is translated as regularly chanting Hare Krishna, or Nityam actually it means always. But even consistently, like Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So we say regularly or consistently hearing Bhagavatam like that. So anybody who's consistently chanting Hare Krishna is a Vaishnava. That's the second time. And the third time, what did he say?
When he influences others also to chant.
Yes, by his presence, like Prabhupada says, sometimes he was in Japan somewhere and he had never been there, and somebody says Hare Krishna. So just by his presence, others chant Hare Krishna. Or you can say he inspires, not only he chants Hare Krishna, but he inspires others to chant Hare Krishna. That we will go through the purport again and we will see that is also the definition of Uttam Adhikari, is how many people he has converted to Vaishnavism and how many people he has induced to chant Hare Krishna. That is also the definition. He is himself also engaged in devotional service, pure, and then how much he has influenced others. Yeah, go ahead. Somebody want to say something? So what is the test of spiritual advancement? How many shlokas you know? Is that the test of spiritual advancement? How many shlokas you know? How many pastimes you know?
No.
I remember one, Prabhu, Bhakti Pareshanu Bhav, well, Bhakti Pareshanu Bhav Virakti. Anyatra, I, I don't know.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you don't have to say the Sanskrit, just
Yeah,
say.
so this is the words that is saying that if you spiritually advance, then you're satisfied, your hunger goes, and
So you'll
you
not feel hungry. If you're spiritually advanced, you'll not feel hungry.
no, I mean this is an analogy that if you eat
I'm
food,
just
then
joking.
what the three things happen.
Uh-huh.
So you feel satisfied and you feel fulfilled, and your hunger goes. So similarly, if you once advance, satisfied is the same thing, tusti pusti, right? That satisfaction is there.
That is like when you eat, three things happen. Like they
Yeah.
say, that is the three. So what?
So, okay, so advancement is free from the material desires
Hmm.
and sex desires, so lusty desires. So that is a test for the advancement.
And how much you are attached to the Lord.
Yeah,
Anartha nivritti and artha pravritti.
right.
We say anartha nivritti and artha pravritti. Not only anartha nivritti, but also artha pravritti means how much we are attached to the goal of serving Krishna and hearing about Krishna, chanting Hare Krishna. So anartha means all this lust, anger, greed. So that is a test of spiritual advancement. What should be our mood so that we can always chant the holy name nicely and always consistently? What should be the mood?
Servant of the servant.
Yes. And what is that verse that we have to wear around our neck?
Humble humility.
The Pisunicha.
Yeah. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Tarorapi Sahishtuna Amanina Maladena Kirtaniya Sadahari.
Right.
Humble than the blade of grass, tolerant than a tree, and respect others, don't expect respect in return, and always chant the holy names.
Yes. Because in that state, you will never be disturbed, right? Because you're not wanting anything. Normally, we are disturbed when we are seeking respect from others. And if others don't agree with us, or if others, criticize us, then we will become disturbed. That is how we can lose our focus in Krishna consciousness. But if we are satisfied and if we think ourselves not deserving any, then we can be happy in any situation of life, because then we can chant Hare Krishna. That's amanina manadena. Then we can chant Hare Krishna. Of course, it is easier to say than practice, but this is actually the mood we have to cultivate. So this verse we should wear around our neck with the string of the holy name. Then we talked about how can the Supreme Personality of Godhead be realized? By the which sense organ? Which sense can
Ear. Ear.
ear? Yes, but in the purport Prabhupada says the tongue.
Tongue, yeah.
Yeah. So ear, of course, yeah, because first we have to hear. And then tongue, when tongue is engaged in two things, in chanting Hare Krishna, speaking about Krishna, inquiring about Krishna consciousness, and tongue is involved in what is the other function of the tongue?
Eating, prasadam.
So honoring Krishna prasadam. So these are the two ways by which. So we'll read something of the purport here and then see.
I think, Prabhuji, you have said that another also the test of advancement is to become fearless. You also quoted that words from Bhagavad Gita, Nayanam Chindanti one, that we think like that we are soul, then no need to be fearful. We are not.
Yeah, in the Bhagavad Gita also, yes, correct. Because when we come to the platform of spiritual, then our hankering and lamentation is not there. So we are fearful because we'll lose something that we have, right? We are fearful because we are going to lose. And we are also fearful because we'll not get something that we desire. So what will happen, if something doesn't turn out right, then we are fearful. We want life to go a certain way, and it doesn't go in that way. Then also we are fearful. And something we have. Huh? Somebody's saying something. Okay. Mute everybody. Okay, so that way also we are fearful. So this verse is talking about three levels of devotees: Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttama. And Prabhupada in his purport is distinguishing all this. Who is a Kanishta, who is Uttama, who is Madhyama. So how can a Kanishta go from Kanishta to Uttama?
By increasing the faith level and more of devotion and becoming a better person to the devotees, like being more loving and accepting towards devotees.
Yes. Here Prabhupada says, everyone begins his devotional life. Should I share my screen, or maybe I can share my screen. So we are talking in reference to the purport also. So 1 minute. So how we are Kanishta. So how can we go to the Uttama level? Everyone begins his devotional life from the neophyte stage. But if one properly finishes chanting the prescribed number of rounds of Harinam, he is elevated step by step to the highest platform, Uttamadhikari. So how our consciousness will change is when we do our chanting, our japa very nicely, and then slowly, step by step. It will take time because we are conditioned for so many lifetimes in this material world. So then slowly, step by step, and if we chant nicely means we will avoid the offenses also. That means, what is the mother of all offenses? We have to chant
attentively.
Yeah, inattentive chanting is the mother of all offenses. So if we chant attentively, then slowly and gradually, all will come to the highest platform. We have to make effort, right? We have to make effort to also like avoid the offenses. But because we are not completely pure, so we cannot avoid the offenses. If we chant offenselessly, then we will get Krishna Prem. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said, Tar Madhye Sarvasresh Nam Sankirtan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asked, of all the 9 processes, which is the most important? And he said, of all the 9 processes, the most important is Nam Sankirtan. Nir Aparadhe Nam Loya Paye Premtan. If you chant offenselessly, then you will get Krishna Prem. So that means if we don't have Krishna Prem, that means our chanting is not completely pure. Of course, we do have some attachment, that's why we are chanting. So this is Niraparadhe Nam Loile Pai Premdhan. So if one does so, avoiding the 10 kinds of offenses, one very easily obtains the most valuable love of Godhead. So there are 10 offenses. I know you may know all the 10 offenses, right? What is the first offense?
To blaspheme the devotees of the Lord who have dedicated their life in propagating Krishna consciousness.
So what does that mean?
Not blaspheme or criticize devotees.
Only those who are fully dedicated, or it is okay to criticize those who are not fully dedicated?
No,
Huh?
Not criticize anyone.
To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy. So if they have not dedicated their whole life, then it is okay?
no, it's not okay.
So yeah, but of course, here it means those who are very, very pure devotees. But generally, we should not criticize anybody because, everybody is dear to Krishna. Pure devotee is very dear to Krishna, but because they have sacrificed their whole life. So that is the first offense, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives.
But if the criticism is for their benefit, not out of envy.
Yeah, so what did we say? There is
Constructive criticism and destructive criticism. Constructive is good, which is uplifting the opposite person, but destructive would bringing them down.
Yeah. So there is 2, constructive and destructive. Now, for constructive criticism also, the other person should, you may say, I'm doing constructive criticism, I'm trying to help the person. But the other person may not take it like that, oh, he's trying to help me. I may say, tell you, but you may not feel like that. Because why would you not feel like that? Because you may think, well, who is he to tell me? I know better. And sometimes, things are not always black and white, right? So, so we also have our own false ego. So there has to be some kind of relationship. The person should perceive you as a well-wisher, and then you can take the feedback. Otherwise, we should approach somebody else who has a relationship with that person and tell that person to instruct that person. So that way also we can convey our message.
So,
Correct?
Prabhu, in this criticism, sorry, Prabhu, I have one question. So, is that level also need to be taken in account that Kanishta, Madhyama, Uttama, like Madhyama Adhikari can give feedback to Uttama Adhikari?
Madhyama, see, if he's Uttam Adhikari, then he has usually no fault. Then Madhyama Adhikari is giving feedback, but if that person is Uttam Adhikari, like Prabhupada talks about that, right? That if that person is very advanced, then we should not give feedback. He says here, maybe it's in the next purport, but so yeah, so if everything should be okay, one should not imitate the behavior. Yeah, so, but generally everybody should be open for feedback because, even Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, there was one person who was constantly criticizing him and the disciples didn't like it. But he was saying when that person died, Then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had tears in his eyes. He said, "Oh, now who will correct me?" He may not be correcting, he may be envious and he may not be actually correcting, but Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So we should be open. Like sometimes, yeah, they say. So we should evaluate also whether what they are saying, are they saying out of envy or are they saying out of real well-wisher and they really want to correct, or they just want to put you down. And so, but still, if it is correct, if it is the right feedback, then one should take it. That's how it should be.
No, I'm giving from the giver aspect, giver point of view. So somebody is giving feedback, not taking. Taking, I understand.
Yeah,
One should be open.
yeah. But you are
But who
giving
can?
feedback to somebody, then you have to see whether your feedback is out of envy. Are you giving the right? Can you give me an example? When would you give feedback to a more?
No, I don't have any example. But what I'm saying is, I know he's Uttamadhikari or everything is good. So how one can give? So I think what I'm trying to point out that the first offense
Mhm.
that who is dedicated, if he is dedicated, he's already Uttamadhikari, right? So who can criticize him? No one.
Yeah, and there may be some faults, even if somebody is dedicated, as Krishna says, but he will become righteous, right? So, very soon, apichet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhag sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha. So that if he sticks to Krishna consciousness, and yeah, other people can give feedback. Like, let's say I'm a disciple of somebody and I want to give feedback to a person who is senior to me, who is then if I want to give feedback, I may not give, but I may go through some other body, the God brothers of that person, and through that person, the feedback can be given. So there is Vaishnava etiquette also, right? So, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who would not he criticize? Who was criticizing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu constantly? There was one person who was criticizing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Ramchandra, something like that.
Ramchandra Puri.
Yeah, Ramchandra.
He was constantly criticizing, but Lord Chaitanya was not retaliating. Um, of course, Ramchandra Puri was senior because he was the god brother of his spiritual master. So if I want to give feedback to my senior and if they're doing something wrong, then it depends on the relationship you have. That is one thing you have to consider. And whether it is appropriate, whether what you are saying is correct or not, that also you have to see, because we may be saying out of envy also. So many things are there, so to consider.
Isn't there, Prabhu, in that pastime where Krishna was in Govardhan Puja pastime, there is a verse, right? It should be give the feedback in a soft spoken voice. It should be truthful, and yeah, as you are saying that it should be in your intention should be pure to that you are doing for their well wishing part or for their
If you can
correctness.
share that verse in Govardhan, I don't know which verse you're talking about. But
Uh,
generally, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the austerity of speech consists of speaking words that are truthful, that are what? Truthful, beneficial, not agitating to others. Then one more. Anudvega karam vakyam, satyam priyam. Right. So it should be truthful, it should be pleasing, not agitating, like that. And austerity of speech consists of regularly reciting the Vedic literature also. So
yeah, yeah, it
beneficial.
already says that truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating.
Yes. Yeah. Speaking truthfully, beneficial. Sometimes truthful and beneficial may not go hand in hand, because I mean, truthful and beneficial can go, but pleasing may not go, because you may speak the truth, but the other person may not like to hear that. So it may not be pleasing to others. It may be agitating for that person. So that is also there, right?
I also think the tone matters a lot. with anything you speak. Like there's an American way and then there's an Indian way. So even if you fire somebody in America, nobody would assume they're being fired. I mean, they're so polite, the way they speak, their tone never rises, they're monotonous, they have no expressions, and yet they give you. And there's a sandwich method, right? The good, the bad, the good. So you start with the good, you end with the good, but then you give whatever you have. So I think there are also ways to communicate.
The
And
tone
of
is,
course, people get training and all that, and we don't. But some people, just inherently have that style, and others, even if there's nothing to mind, you'll end up minding what they say. Anything they say, you mind because the way they say it.
yeah. So the tone and yeah, your mannerism, and so that is also, yeah, talking, your body language and so many other things. So there is a course on non-violent communication. Non-violent communication. So how you can get your message across and not speak in a violent way. So, but sadhus like Srila Prabhupada, and they're very advanced. So they speak the truth, you know. And many times the disciples, when they were chastised by Srila Prabhupada, they would like it. They would think that, yes, this person cares for me. Somehow, yeah, that's there. So, like mother is chastising the child, so the child will feel sometimes a little bit, no, why she's doing like this. But then the child also knows that my mother is my well-wisher, so will not take it so seriously. So, okay, so that is there. So we can progress from Kanishta means to Uttama by change of consciousness. It is all change. Kanishta has low faith, Uttama has the topmost faith. So it slowly goes from as our heart becomes clean, because naturally in our pure state we have complete faith in Krishna and we are attracted to Krishna. But because of all the contamination in the heart, we are in illusion, and that's why all these other things are there: lust, anger, greed, and that's interfering. Then Prabhupada says, in one thing he's here, he says that in the scripture we should accept everything. We should not accept some part of the scripture and other part of the scripture which we don't like, we don't accept. So he says, Arjuna said to Krishna, Sarvam etad ritam manye yan mam vadasi Keshava. Krishna, I accept whatever you have told me as truth. And this is the definition of Shraddha. Shraddha means whatever Krishna is saying, whatever Prabhupada is saying, the pure devotee is saying, or whatever Krishna is saying, that is the truth. So, of course, we may not be able to accept. Sometimes we may think logically it doesn't compute, right? So, then we can ask questions, right? As Arjuna is asking questions. But at the end, he says, yes, I understand. And many things are beyond our purview. We are like a frog in the well. So, what can we know about spiritual subject matter? We are little frog in the well. We don't know about so many things we don't know. But we accept on the basis of faith. So that faith is more for the Uttamadhikari than for Kanishta. Means he has faith, but sometimes he gets, little diverted also. So Arjuna is saying, oh Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. So in 10.14. Okay. So this is the correct way of understanding Bhagavad Gita. And it is not that one accepts a portion of Bhagavad Gita according to his own whimsical interpretation and then rejects another portion. That is called what? What kind of thing is that? When you take what you like and you reject what you don't like in the scripture, what kind of, does that ring a bell or something?
Hen and egg.
Kulasya sankalpa pratikulasya varjana. This is what you.
No, I'm
Like
talking
a swan. Yeah.
about a story.
Oh, like a
Right.
swan who reject the water and take up the milk.
Yeah. No, like I like this part, I don't like this part. Prabhupada told a story about, as Manish Prabhu was saying, that a man had a hen, and then he said, this hen, I have to feed the mouth, but I like the back part because it lays eggs and I can sell the eggs for a profit. But I don't like the mouth part because I have to feed all so much it eats grains. So what I will do, I will cut the hen in half. I will only take the back part because the back part gives eggs. The front part I will not take. So what will happen? If the hen is cut in half, there will be no more eggs. The hen will die. So Prabhupada called it Ardha Kukuti Nyay, half hen logic. Half hen logic means we may have our favorite portion of the scriptures. Like I may like certain pastimes of Krishna, and that is all right. But the whole scripture, the whole Bhagavad Gita, everything has to be understood, accepted. Of course, in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says Bhakti Yoga is the superior, topmost, and then other forms of yoga are inferior. So that also we accept. So whatever Krishna says, that we accept in the Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, it is half and logic. Now, I like the front part, I like the back part, but I don't like the front part. Then Prabhupada was saying, then the rascal doesn't know there will be no more eggs if he takes only what he likes. So in this way, we should not, this is not Shraddha, Prabhupada says. Means accepting the instructions in totality. And especially the last instruction, Prabhupada says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja. Now, because sometimes why we don't accept? Because if I can't follow, then I will not accept. Right? That is also another. This is too much, right? But we should think that I cannot follow, but this is the right instruction. So Krishna is saying, give up everything else and surrender to me, and I will protect you. So I may not be able to surrender, but we should not become resentful of the instruction because I cannot follow. And then we try to rationalize it in different ways. No, this is the correct thing, but I cannot follow. I'm not at that level. So that is good. So then one day we will come to that. But if we outright reject it, then it will become difficult. So we were discussing the 10 offenses. So to blaspheme the devotees. The second is to, what is the second offense?
To consider the demigod's name equal to the holy name.
Yeah. So thinking that everything is same, whether you chant this name or that name, it's all the same. So that is an offense. Because we are equating it in scripture, such a person is called a, what is the term used? Is called a Pashandi.
Pretender.
Pashandi means the offender. He's an offender. Pashandi, Prabhupada says. Second offense. Third offense is to neglect the instructions of the spiritual master. So that is also an offense. Of course, Prabhupada is also our spiritual master, and he gives so many instructions in his books. So can we follow everything? We can, we should try, but we should not neglect it. It can be delayed if we can't follow it, but we should not just ignore it. And like Prabhupada was told by his Guru Maharaj, right? You go to the West and preach. In which year he was told, given this instruction?
22.
1922, right? He was given this instruction in his first meeting that you go and preach this message. And when did he come to the West?
1965.
1965. So that's
9.
43 years after, right? 43 years after. But Prabhupada always kept that instruction in his mind. And he wanted to execute it. He didn't have the means to execute it in the beginning. But when he got the opportunity, he executed it. So like that, we should not give up the instruction, but we can kind of, put off because we cannot do it immediately, but we should always keep it in mind. So ideally, immediately it should be done. So third is to disobey the order of the spiritual master. Fourth is to blaspheme the Vedic literatures or literatures in pursuance of Vedic version. Right? So we say, oh, this Vedic literature, this is all mythology. Who knows? This is all Puranas, like that. This is all not correct. Many people think like that, right? This is all mythology. Why would you think it's not mythology when it is said Krishna lifted Govardhan hill? Krishna showed universal form. Why would you not think it's mythology?
because it is accepted by acharyas.
Yeah, but somebody is saying no, this is you say, oh, these people have accepted. Okay, but that does not make it not non-mythological.
Krishna is supreme personality.
Yeah, correct. So why we say it is mythology? What is the reason we say this is mythology?
Something to do with faith.
Yeah, because it is, I mean, we have never experience of any, we don't, these are all fantastic descriptions, right? It seems like imagination, like Superman, Batman, right? They're like characters. So we think, all right, this is, how is it possible that uh, a 7-year-old boy is lifting such a huge hill for 7 days on his little finger? How is this possible? This is not possible.
Yeah, when we put a logical mind, then this is not possible. So that is what mythology comes into picture. They put it as a logic everywhere, on everything, every story.
Yeah. So logical, so that means should we not use our logic in understanding spirituality? We should put our logic on the side?
No,
Or should we think,
No, Prabhu, that it's about putting a logic in a right thing is okay. Not on the spiritual. When we are scriptures are there, when we have a shastra scriptures and the disciple succession. When the people are telling for a long time, then we are still wants to put in a logic. Then it's become questionable.
The faith is on a different platform other than the logic. Logic will not lead to faith.
yeah.
And we have 4 defects, so our logic could be faulty.
Yeah. So why we can't accept this? Because we have no experience of any boy lifting like that a hill. And another thing is, if I can't do it, then nobody else can do it. Like no human being can do it. This is a superhuman activity. So that's why we think it is beyond any human being to do it. But that's difference between human being and God. If God is also a human being, and if we measure God by our own powers, then we will think, yeah, it is not possible. This is all not. So there is a story in the Bhagavatam of Narad Muni. He goes to a cobbler, and the cobbler is doing his thing. And so the cobbler is telling Narad Muni, you are going to Vaikuntha. Can you ask the Lord, when will I come back to you? Narad Muni says, okay. Then he goes to a Brahmana. Narad Muni goes to Brahmana. Brahmana says, you are going to Vaikuntha. Can you ask the Lord when I will go back to him? He says, okay. Then Narad Muni goes to Vaikuntha and he meets Vishnu. And then what happens? Vishnu says, the Brahmana is coming, he's going to take so many lifetimes. Narad Muni is surprised. He's studying the Vedic scriptures. He is doing his Bhagavad Gita every day. He's reciting so many shlokas, everything he's doing, and he'll take many lifetimes. How is it possible? And what about that cobbler? Oh, he's coming back after this life. You are on mute, Charul. You were saying something.
Sorry.
Yeah, what were you saying? You were saying something?
No, not
Okay.
related to this.
I thought you were saying something. Yeah. Okay, so then he said, okay, then how will, I didn't understand. The cobbler is doing some dirty work and this Brahmana is like all reciting so many shlokas. And then what did Vishnu tell? Tell them that. So, okay.
Narad Muni asked, right? They were saying that, so Lord Vishnu says that if you go back to them and then tell them that, they would ask that what the Lord was doing that time, right? So he was threading the needle, passing the elephant from the needle, eye of the needle, right? So he said he go back to them and he asked to the then Brahmanas, he made to the Brahmana and he said that, okay, so Lord Vishnu, so what Lord Vishnu said. So Narad Muni replied that he was passing the elephant with the eye of the needle. So he don't believe that. He said that how is it possible? It means he was just completely reject that. And he said that it's not possible. It means that you never met the Lord Vishnu. Um, and then he goes to the cobbler. Then cobbler said that, then the same thing he said to the cobbler, and cobbler believed that. So he asked, Narad Muni asked the question that, how do you believe that this is like seems not impractical to you? Then he said, no. Then he showed a banyan tree. Then he said that if from the just a small seed, a huge banyan tree comes up, then why not this possible? So this is a faith, like a strong faith in Lord's word. So yeah.
Yeah. So the faith, the faith that Lord can do amazing things. So that because like our universe also, right? If you see, of course, scientists have their theory how the universe came about, but these are like big masses of planets that are floating in the space in universe like that, and there is no end to this universe where it is ending. How did all this come about? If Krishna can create such a God has created such a huge creation, then what is impossible for him? Can't he lift a hill on his little finger? So in this way, we can convince them that, or we can convince ourselves when we have some doubts that there are many things we can't do. God can do anything because he is supremely powerful. He doesn't have to comply with the laws of science. So sometimes we think laws of science are the ultimate, everything has to work under the purview of the laws of science. But Krishna can change the laws of science. And if there are laws of science, then there must be a lawmaker. One Nobel laureate said, why nature is mathematical is a mystery. So why you can fit everything into equations and such predictability is there. Why it is like that? Because it was designed by somebody who had intelligence. Scientists are discovering the laws, but who made the laws? So the laws are made by the Supreme Lord. So he's very intelligent. So in that way we can now if I don't have gas in my car, does it mean now I have to go to New Vrindavan, let's say, and I have only 1 gallon and my car gives only 30 miles a gallon and it is how much? 120 miles. Will I say, oh, I can drive my car, I'll depend on God and God can do anything. So I will drive with 1 gallon of gas and I will still reach New Vrindavan. Does it mean that is faith in God? What would you say?
No.
So there you are applying your common sense, right? You're saying no, you're acting by yes, God can do it if he wants. But generally we follow huh? Generally we follow the laws that are given by God. Yeah, because the material world works according to certain laws. Okay, so we'll read a little bit of this verse, the purport. So who is an Uttamadhikari? Prabhupada has given this. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given some practical hints to the effect that an Uttamadhikari Vaishnava can be recognized by his ability to convert many fallen souls to Vaishnavism. One should not become a spiritual master unless. So, how one can be recognized as Uttamadhikari? Of course, Prabhupada was a Uttamadhikari Vaishnava because he has created or transformed so many people to Vaishnavism. So that's why he is an Uttamadhikari. Without being empowered by the Lord, no one can preach Krishna consciousness. So that is what Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tara Pravartan. So Prabhupada was specifically empowered because we know how much it is difficult to even convince some person to chant Hare Krishna. And here Prabhupada made so many Western devotees chant Hare Krishna and dedicate their lives. So he was especially empowered. But that is not the only. So there is a little hand guide. Let me share this. is an outreach success sign of spiritual advancement. Because we have done a lot of outreach and we have, distributed a lot of books, and is that sign of made some devotees? Is that sign of spiritual advance? Yes, provided they are the results of, not substitutes for inner fulfillment. So one has to be inner. It is not that just, yeah, we can make devotees and so many things. That's Prabhupada is saying that's an Uttam Adhikari. How many? But it is not a substitute for inner fulfillment. So one should have inner fulfillment. Inner fulfillment in Krishna consciousness means he should feel satisfied, and all the good qualities and all the symptoms should develop. So that is that. So Kanishta Adhikari, these are some notes. So he's asking, how can I distinguish? Maharaj Nimi said, now please tell me. So he's speaking to the Navyogendras. And now please tell me in greater detail about the devotees of the Supreme Lord. What are the natural symptoms by which I can distinguish between most advanced devotees, those on middle level, and those on neophytes? What are the typical religious activities of Vaishnava? How does he speak? Specifically describe those symptoms and characteristics by which Vaishnavas become dear. So, Kanishta Adhikari. So, this is by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Difference between Archan and Bhajan. Archan refers to the platform of sadhana bhakti in which one serves the Lord, carry out the rules and regulations of the process. One who has achieved the shelter of Lord's holy name and is totally engaged in attempt to serve the Lord should be considered to be on the platform of bhajan. Even though his external activities may sometimes be less strict than those of neophyte engaged in archan. So archan means generally the deity worship. So there are many rules and regulations in doing the deity worship. But a person is considered to be advanced, and if he has achieved the shelter of Lord's holy name and he is on the platform of bhajan, even though he may not be always following the rules and the minute rules and regulations of archan. This apparent lack of strictness, however, but now the thing is that it doesn't mean laxity, not in the basic principles of sane behavior and renunciation of sense gratitude, but rather in details of Vaishnava ceremonies. So in details of Vaishnava ceremony, okay, you have to do Achman this way, you have to do after this, you have to do this, you have to do that. That is not really the sign of spiritual advancement. But there can be some, some little laxity in that. But the main thing is that he has renounced sense gratification, and there is basic principle. He's having sane behavior. So that is more important than just to be attached to some rules and regulations. So, and a Kanishta Adhikari may consider this lack of strictness to be a fault. The Kanishta Adhikari may see, oh, this person is not doing these technicalities correctly, and he may think, oh, this is a fault. But that is not actually a fault, because there may be a little less strict in the, I don't know if it makes sense to you, but you get the point, right? So, or you don't get the point, I don't know. But sometimes, we get caught up in the technicalities and things like that. And some devotee may be a little bit liberal, like Prabhupada would sometimes go, and of course we can't imitate also, but he would go and eat something in the kitchen, right? And then somebody may say, oh, this is not proper behavior, because this is according to these rules and regulations, this cannot be done like this. So we try to apply rules and regulations like that. So that should not be applied to so one who has achieved the shelter of Lord's holy name and is totally engaged in attempt to serve the Lord should be considered on the platform of bhajan. Okay, so there is difference between archan and bhajan, because archan is more like somebody becomes more attached to the principles of deity worship and not, he doesn't respect the devotees. So sometimes we may see like that. Prabhupada also said, if I tell you all the rules and regulations of deity worship, what will happen? You will If I tell you all the rules and regulations of deity worship, you will?
We will.
You will faint.
You'll. Okay.
So many rules and regulations. So, yeah. So God is everywhere, not only in the temple, but is in the heart of the devotees, is in the heart of all living entities, and should be worshipped everywhere by the process of devotional service. Be conscious that God is everywhere, not only in the temple. So in your home also, right? If you have a thing, and not only in devotees, but also in normal living entities, God is there. So we should not mistreat other living entities, thinking that they are not devotees. So Kanishta doesn't understand. So she criticizes the more advanced devotees of the Lord, neglects them, and simply has no understanding of their exalted position as preachers or completely self-realized souls. Okay, so there are some notes. I will share this thing on Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, like that. We can do it next time also. So coming back to our purport. So yeah, so he has converted how many souls to Vaishnavism, but at the same time, he should have inner fulfillment of becoming Krishna conscious. He should be satisfied. So how Bhagavatam says you can be satisfied when you do devotional service, but if you want to be completely satisfied, then you have to do what kind of devotional service? If you want to be completely satisfied, what kind of devotional service you have to do?
Unalloyed, ahetuki apratihata.
Correct. Unmotivated, uninterrupted. All the time you should do devotional service, and your devotional service should be unmotivated. Means I'm not doing it for any material motive, right? I'm doing it only for the pleasure of Krishna. And if you do like that service all the time, uninterrupted, then you will get complete satisfaction. Does anybody know that verse from Bhagavatam which says that unalloyed, unmotivated devotional service will completely satisfy the self?
Savai pumsa parodharmo ahetuki bhakti adhokshaje.
Savai pumsam
Savai pumsa
parodharmo
parodharmo.
to bhaktir adhoksha
Yeah.
ahitya
अहेतुकी अप्रतिहता ये आत्मा सुप्रसिद्धति.
Atma suprasiddhati. Yes. Suprasiddhati means be completely satisfied. So, okay, so
I have one question, bro. Yeah. So Kanishta Adhikari, do they chant or not?
they chant here, Prabhupada in the first.
So
They are not fully, the Kanishtadikar is a neophyte who has received the Harinam initiation from the spiritual master and is trying to chant the holy name of Krishna. So one should respect such a person within his mind, but they are not fully engaged. So how Prabhupada then makes a distinction. A Madhyam Adhikari has also received spiritual, but has been fully engaged by him in the transit. And the Uttam Adhikari, what is there is more. He's doing fully engaged, but he's doing his service in an unalloyed way. Means it's pure bhakti. And he is not interested in blaspheming others. His heart is completely clean. And he has attained the realized state of unalloyed Krishna consciousness. So that is the...
So I have a doubt that, so we have a 9 process of bhakti, right? And Archanam is one of them, the deity worship. Even Maharaj Prithu was interested in deity worship, and he is our like Acharya for Archanam. So just by doing the devotional service and doing the chanting also, why not get their perfection? Because this is out of 9 process, it is one of...
Archanam is there. It's a Pancharatri Vidhi. Let me show you this thing, a thing from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He says, yes, if one does deity service and does not criticize, because in the Kanishta platform, he does not give respect to the devotees. So that if you just do deity work, then slowly, gradually you'll become purified by that also. So any of the 9 processes will give you purification. But you have to also respect, you not commit offenses to the devotees, otherwise you will not get the. So that's the Kanishta, means he just worships the deity, but he's not behaving.
Yes, I got it.
So deity worship is, of course, very purifying. But yeah, if you just say me and the deity, me and God, and don't recognize the devotees, then that is considered as, this is the definition of Kanishta platform. So okay, so anything else? Sorry, 12 o'clock. So then he talks about the Prakrita Sahajiyas generally chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, yet they are attached to women, money, and intoxication. Although such persons may chant the holy name of the Lord, they are not yet properly purified. Such people should be respected within one's mind, but their association should be avoided. So they're chanting Hare Krishna, but they are not fully. Of course, in the neophyte stage, we are like that. Okay. So here also he says, when a neophyte devotee is actually initiated and engaged in devotional service by the orders of the spiritual master, he should be immediately accepted as a bona fide Vaishnava, and obeisance should be offered unto him. Out of many such Vaishnavas, one may be found to be very seriously engaged in the service of the Lord and strictly following all the regulative principles, chanting the prescribed number of rounds on japa beads, and always thinking of how to expand the Krishna consciousness movement. Such a Vaishnava should be accepted as an Uttam Adhikari. So he is very seriously engaged, and he's following the regulative principles, chanting his japa on the beads, and always thinking of how to expand the Krishna consciousness movement, how I can give Krishna to others. So such a person is called Uttam Adhikari. Then Prabhupada gives the definition of Diksha, how at the time of Diksha, one surrenders, and at that time Krishna says, oh, this person is as good as me. And what happens? Divyam Jnanam, the transcendental knowledge. Of course, that happens much before Diksha, right? Because you are hearing from the devotees from whom you are going to take Diksha and from other Shiksha gurus. So you are getting transcendental knowledge. So Divyam Jnanam Yato Dadyat Kuryat Papasya Sankshayam. And Tasmad Diksheti Saprokta Deshikais Tattva Kovidai. By Diksha, one gradually becomes disinterested in material enjoyment and gradually becomes interested in spiritual life. So it is not the ceremony, just by Diksha means not just the ceremony, but by Shiksha, ultimately by hearing the Krishna Katha, one becomes disinterested. So if we hear Krishna Katha and read the books of Srila Prabhupada, then we'll become disinterested slowly and gradually. So this is the effect of Krishna Katha. Like all of you, right? I mean, you became disinterested in so many things you were interested in previously. And now you're chanting Hare Krishna and doing so many things. So how it happened? Because you heard. So hearing is the main thing. And when one becomes so disinterested in material enjoyment, he becomes fit for initiation by the spiritual master. So by hearing, you become fit for initiation. By hearing, you become disinterested in material enjoyment, and then you become. So when a person is serious about accepting Diksha, he must be prepared to practice austerity, celibacy, control of mind and the body. If one is so prepared, what are the qualifications for receiving Diksha? He must practice austerity, celibacy, control of the mind and the body. Then he's fit for being initiated. So that is there. And one should not accept a spiritual master. So the fourth offense we said, to blaspheme the Vedic literature. Was it fourth or? Yeah. Or then what is the fifth offense? We'll go through it quickly. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic. So we think, yeah, this Hare Krishna is also giving us some punya, like material piety. That's not correct. because this is different. So chanting Hare Krishna gives you spiritual credit. There is a verse, right? Ko koti danam grahane khagasya. That, and will not go beyond too long, but this verse, which Prabhupada writes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says, Go koti danam grahane khagasya prayag gangodaka kalpavasha yagyayutam meru suvarna danam govinda kirtirna samam satanshay. So go means cow. Koti means millions of cows. You distribute in charity on a solar eclipse, grahane. That is one tradition, that on eclipse you give charity. Prayaga Gangodaka Kalpa Vasaha. Vasaha means to reside at Prayag, where Ganga, Jamuna, so many people went to Kumbh Mela, right? So at Prayag, when you reside, then you take bath every day in the Triveni Sangam, right? So you may reside for a kalpa and you get some benefit, right? Or in Yagna, you can give a mountain like Meru, gold, Suvarna. You can give a mountain of gold in charity at Yagna. Still, that does not compare to 1/100th of the merit you derive from Govinda Kirtir, means Kirtan, chanting the holy name of Govinda. Even if one distributes 10 million cows in charity during an eclipse of the sun, lives at the confluence of Ganges and Yamuna for millions of years, or gives a mountain of gold in sacrifice to Brahmanas, he does not earn 100th part of the merit derived from chanting Hare Krishna. So we should not consider chanting Hare Krishna as one of the other ritualistic activities. So this should give us so much like inspiration, yeah. This chanting Hare Krishna has so much benefit. Why shouldn't I chant more? Because I'm going to get so much benefit. This is scripture saying, and we have faith in the scriptures. So so fifth is to what is it? What is the sixth offense? Now it's all, I have to recite in sequence otherwise. Fifth is to, first is to blaspheme the Vedic literature. Second is to consider names of demigods. Like third is to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Fourth is to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of Vedic origin. Five is to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. Yeah.
This interpretation of the holy name of the Lord.
Yeah. And sixth is to give some mundane interpretation on the holy.
Yeah.
Seventh is to commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting. So that we already addressed previously in verse number, I think it was 1 or 2, that we chant and then we sin, and then we chant and then we sin, then we chant to neutralize. So that is an offense. Then what is the eighth? Seventh is to commit sinful activities on strength of chanting. Eighth is to consider chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities.
Yeah.
That is the eighth offense. Ninth is to instruct a faithless person about the glories of holy name. So don't tell others who are not ready to hear about the holy name. Why? Because they will make more offense. Oh, Krishna is like this. You are telling me to chant his name. So we prevent others. So don't tell to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. So that is an offense, because we are making them commit offenses also, and we are hearing their offenses. Whatever they are speaking, we are hearing. And 10th is to not have complete faith in chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this matter, right? How many times we have heard, I'm not this body, this material world is a miserable place, I'm not supposed to be here. Of course, it can be a pleasant place if you are Krishna conscious, but I belong to the spiritual world, I'm part and parcel of Krishna. Still, we have our own conception about, who I am and all these things and what is the goal of life. So we are maintaining those attachments. To have attachments is not bad, but to maintain material attachments, right? To maintain means you are working on it to maintain it. Maintaining the bodily conception of life. Still, we are in bodily conception of, but not to maintain it, not to keep it. We have to rise above it. Of course, it's difficult. but that happens by chanting Hare Krishna. And it is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. So all this, if you avoid, then we'll come to Shuddha Nam and we'll get Krishna Prem. So Prabhupada says, the chanting of holy names of Krishna is so sublime that if one chants Hare Krishna Mahamantra offenselessly, carefully avoiding the 10 offenses that he can certainly be gradually elevated to the point of understanding that there is no difference between the holy name of the Lord and Lord himself. So we will come to realize that the name and Krishna are the same. And such a person should be very much respected. Okay, so we'll stop here. Sorry, 10 minutes passed, but anything to discuss, or we can stop here and continue next time.
So, Pro, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So we talked about how Uttamadhikari comes down to the platform of Madhyamadhikari. They come by choice. Is it possible for Madhyamadhikari to go to Kanistha, maybe not out of choice?
Yeah, our consciousness is always affected by the modes of material nature, right? Sometimes we are in very good consciousness, sometimes we are not in such good consciousness. So this is always changing. Sometimes we may be Madhyamadhikari, sometimes mostly we are Kanishtadhikari, then we may become Madhyamadhikari for some time, and then the modes change, and we can go back and forth between. Yeah. Sometimes our faith is strong, sometimes our faith is not strong, right? Our sadhana is good, sometimes it is not good. Sometimes we chant nicely, sometimes we don't chant nicely. So all these things are always in flux, right? We are always, back and forth. So because our anartha nivritti has not happened. So yeah, you can go back and forth between.
Even though they have very steady and firm faith, but still it can maybe evolve and then they can become
Yeah,
Kanishta.
it can be eroded, yeah, by some, something offenses if you do like that, or whatever, something can happen in
But
our.
then they are not then Madhyama in first place, right? Because their faith is not.
Yeah, so this is talking about constant, right? But we can, in practicality, we can always change from this mode to this mode to this mode like that. So, but this is just talking one who is on a constant platform. What are his symptoms? But we can always change. Like there were so many devotees, at one time they were chanting Hare Krishna, they were making so many other devotees and doing so much service. But then they left the movement, they left the association of devotees. And at one point they were considered great devotees and spiritual masters also. But then they may have left like that. So it can change. So Maya is very powerful. That's another thing we have to learn. So Prabhupada also says, on the other hand, we have witnessed that some of our contemporaries who are supposed to be great preachers have gradually fallen into the material conception of life because they have failed to chant the holy name of the Lord. So they were great preachers, but they went into material conception because they neglected their sadhana or something like that. Because they have so many responsibilities, so they fail to chant the holy name, and so they may have administrative responsibilities and this and that, and so they have fallen too much. There's an article, I think I said Guru in the Morning, right? Danvir Goswami has an article, Guru in the Morning. So if we neglect our sadhana, if we don't chant, then we can. And even after that also we can fall. But at least if you have good sadhana, then we will remain steady. But if you are just, then there's more chance. Okay. And Maya will give so many reasons why we cannot do this, so many. And it all appears very rational at that point. Yeah, because of this and that. But then you neglect to chant for whatever reason, or you chant just for the sake of chanting. somehow or other, then also the whole spiritual life hinges on the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Especially in Kali Yuga, they say you cannot make any spiritual advancement without chanting the holy name. Okay, so anything else? We'll stop here. There's nothing else. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Prabhu.
Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.